let it start. Okay, so we are now live with Bob and Lynn from Mycorrhizal, value flows, Sensorica. I never know exactly on which. You're a bit all over the place, and we got together again within the open app ecosystem around the project of interoperability and sharing vocabularies, semantic webs, and getting our different applications to communicate easily and maybe transparently. So we've worked a lot lately on a new version of Community, which is always open source and online, a GitHub project. And we've started working on real interoperability. We had before this a few translation pipes that would take any vocabulary from one side and translate it into our pivot language that we can use at any time. But what has came out of the code is capable to translate it from one language to any language. So this is what we'll mainly present today. It will be also applied to a few platforms, which we'll go into detail in right after the presentation. We'll show you first the graphs that present the architecture of the thing. The documentation, do you want me to get it, Damien? Or do you have it? So Damien is with us behind the screenshot, who worked his internship on this big part of the project. And so he'll contribute, but I'm doing the English talking. But his English is quite good, actually. Let him just load up the little graph that explains what's going on in the application. Yeah. Okay, maybe you can full screen that. Yeah. Okay, it's okay, more or less. Okay, so what you can see here is that on the left side we have multiple data sources coming from diverse APIs. Of course, all of them are open data APIs, and we have access to this data sometimes through tokens, or sometimes through UMaps, or sometimes through Sparkle language. Different sources produce this data. So that's what's on the left side. The objective in the middle is to obtain a pivot language that our platform understands. So that conversion section is where all the kind of intelligence starts. I mean, not the intelligence, but where everything happens, turning one language into another. So we transform it visually into different things, either a directory as we have in the platform, or a cartography, or just an extraction API, or we can also use it in an external output source. So it could be a UMAP or another mobile application or any other application that would use the extraction. If we go to the other graph, the one that presents the conversion. So here, what we take as sources are freehand CSV files. So we can also use this process for import processes, for example, or simple conversions. So we can take any CSV file. We can take a well-structured CSV file, because we have, if you want, let's say, someone wants to come in with like a whole list of organizations, we can say, okay, if you want to do it on yourself, you give us our, you can simply take a well-structured CSV file and the thing will go in automatically. If it's in free CSV, it means that there's no real order in the columns. Then we have to do a mapping system, which is very simple. It's all graphically oriented and made. We then interpret. We can interpretate whatever. We use also GeoJSON or an endpoint, UMAP endpoint, or a JSON source file, or a KML source file. So these are structures or formats that we know how to read. But creating new formats is extremely easy. It takes an hour or two. Depending on the structure, but sometimes more complicated. Like for UMAP, we had to analyze how the structure was built, but it took less than a few days. On the API side, we interoperate with. We have here the French post system. We have like the the national job database. We have the national OpenGov database, and we have the OpenStreetMap API. We have the Wikidata API, the Wikipedia API, and like the National Research Organization API. So these are the APIs that we managed to convert into different languages. So our conversion step is based on 3 steps. First, we map. So we have the source. It can be in any format, and we map one field. Like if on one side the name would be called field name, we will say, okay, field name connects to the name field on our vocabulary, and we do that for every field, either in the columns of the CSV file, either in the JSON. And that runs through an automatic conversion tool, and then we go to the render step. And that not only produces a pivot language, but can also be converted and translated into multiple extraction languages. So the outputs can be our ontology, which is the PH ontology. Either can be a standard like the schema.org ontology, can be the PLP ontology, because back then we used to talk about the PLP. We also did the GeoJSON ontology, the RSS, and also the KML and CSV extractions. So any of those source files can go through the conversion tool and out the conversion tool in these different languages. So adding tomorrow either the value flows ontology or vocabulary on one end, it can be on the input side, but it could be also something interesting for value flows to absorb our outputs, and we could extract it into the value flows ontology. So both of those are very easy to set up now that the system is up. Okay, any questions?
Yeah. Okay, this is really exciting. I'm very interested now. This may be a question for later to deal with, but we can output JSON right now from, I want to connect the vocabulator to your stuff. I'd like to go 2 ways if I can. And so we can output JSON from the vocabulary later now. So can so I would like to discuss with you at some point, what do I need to do to get that JSON to you?
If you just give me an API with your extracted JSON, let's say if we're talking about people, let's talk about something very simple. If you have, let's say, a database of people, whatever the structure of that JSON API that describes this list of people, that's enough.
Well, what we have going right now that works fairly well is agent, which can be people or organizations, and the relationships between them. And we also have going some simple stuff about processes and their inputs and outputs. And that's all working right now, and it's in the form of I can give it to you as URLs where you can which would be URLs to JSON. I mean, we can do a bunch of different things. We can do JSON. We can do JSON LD. We can do RDF in some things. We could do Turtle. But JSON is already on your list.
Yeah. When we say JSON, it means as well JSON LD as well. It's not a problem.
Okay. Yeah. You can have. We can give you either one, whichever you prefer.
Yeah. Well, we can take either.
Okay.
So the objective, actually, what we need to sort out is where we find the common points. We have to try and find how the value flows data has an interest either in being represented in the platform, or can benefit. Let's say you want to visualize your data inside the societal network, which is communicative. So that's something this is made for. If you say, okay, I have the value flows vocabulary, I just want you to show me, I want to see it inside the communicative platform. That's what we're going to show you right now, actually.
Okay, that I want to explore all the possibilities over time. Take the easiest possibilities first. I need to get myself connected to Communector, which I will do. I'm right in the middle of a really interesting problem this week, and then we got visitors coming, so it'd probably be next week that I get deep into this. But I can give you the links after this.
That's actually much better for us, Bob, because the international we're actually currently finishing off one part of Communecté, which isn't that doesn't allow it to be open in any country freely, and we're finishing off that thing where any place, any city in the world can create their own organization, events, projects, etc. All the features that are interesting in the project. So this is
So next week is better for you too?
Definitely. Even 2 weeks from now is even better. What I really wanted us to share is to start visualizing how it can work. So if we switch to the demo, the real-time demo, so what you have here, it's a search engine, but it's not a search engine where the data is in our hands. It's a search engine where the data comes from Wikidata, where it comes from open source, OSM, OpenStreetMaps, from our French open data system, from the French Post, and etc., the ones I already presented to you. So here on this, you can type keywords for searching, but everything comes from their database. We're not copying anything. Whatever they put online will be available here. So we are in real interoperability, but with the features that are available in the project. So if on the top if on the top hand we type a keyword, it will go and look for it. If you type, for example, as I have a company and it's listed in the French databases, and if you type Tibor, it comes up because my company, my personal company, is listed in the French, let's say, to all the enterprises, all the corporations that are in the computer. You see, the label of my company is programming, computer programming. So this isn't coming from our databases. This is really coming from outside of our realm. Yeah. And for example, if your database is made available as a service, it can be added to the global database. So what's interesting here is that we've created an open common database. We call it the OCDB. The open common database is built over, it's like a, tu as le petit schéma là, avec les différentes bases de données là, OCDB? Non, dans le doc. Let me get you the link for that. It's kind of describes properly what the OCDB, how it's built. Let me get you that. Yeah, here it is. This is actually something I really have to document since quite a while right now, but I just, running with the code, and so documentation comes last, you know the story. But it's something that's functional today, and that we're happy to continue with, because okay, let me share the screen here. Okay, do you see my screen?
Nope.
Not yet. It's coming. Should be. No?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what you're seeing here, it's just a little design of what's going on. Here on this side, over here, you have all those databases that we've presented to you here. On the right, on the screen of Damien, on his on the left side, these are all those databases, and we managed to connect them to the Communauté database. But as we're connecting to Wikipedia, OpenStreetMaps, DataGouv, we are creating like a collection that we call the Open Common Database, because all these, in the end, when we type something in this unique Open Common Database, we managed to go and read in the multi-sources in every one of these databases, which makes it very simple and easy to represent this data. So you can imagine that if we want to put start reading data flows content, we just write the conversion vocabulary and it shows up here. I don't know if that's clear for you, but what's happening, we can show you a conversion of a vocabulary coming from, let's say, a UMAP. A UMAP, Damien is going to prepare the URL that corresponds. But if you take a sample UMAP with data in it, and then we put it as a URL to be converted, it is converted into any of these languages. Non. Tu n'en as pas mis dans tes docs? Is all this clear, or do you want me to go back onto conversion? Non? Je sais pas si ça convert.
So I think I'm live on the mic again. This is clear enough for now. I'm going to have to study it. I do want to say, however, this is really exciting. I'm very, very interested. You're putting some missing pieces into the picture that we have all been working on one way or another. And I'm really, really happy to see this happening. And I will make it a high priority to connect with this starting next week.
So Tibor,
Okay.
one
Yes.
quick question. In terms of your mapping, I understand how you could do field to field fairly easily. Do you have any way to try to accommodate different structures that really are the same thing but just are structured differently?
So
You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is, like, if 3 different organizations give us a different map of how they describe people.
Well, not within, like, where it has relationships, like, for example, like where it's not just one table or one CSV, but where you have, one-to-manys or many-to-manys.
So in multiple different files or different sources.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, no. Today we're not doing those kind of relations because it could be done. It could be done, and it would be a great way to push forward. Today, if you want to do it, you can do it in a multiple sessions. So you would have one file, you will import it. Let's say you import the people, and then you'll have another, let's say, API will have the connection with organizations, and you'll have to push that in.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. I think it would be actually kind of hard to do, so I was curious.
Yeah, well, it's possible to do the unions and the links, but then it really creates a lot of use cases. And since let's say when we talk to Wikidata, we have well-formed, how do you say, Sparkle requests that go get the data, and then we transform that response. If for every line that's coming back from the Wikidata, we had to redo a request to rebuild, that we've done that actually at one point. I think we still do it. Yeah, we still do it because of the structure of Wikidata, and it makes the requests very actually quite long. It's not very performant. This is not a performance. It's not the great winner on performance.
That is
it's really
okay.
It's really an experiment of interoperability of our capacity within the network community to say, okay, we can communicate with value flows, with Inspiral, with Sensorica, whoever has something out there, it can be connected.
This is all great. It's like we got to start someplace. This is the first thing that I've seen that is that where somebody is actually starting to work on this. So I think it's great, and got to start someplace, and we'll take it from there. It'll be good.
Yeah, it's totally awesome, Tibor.
Yeah,
and
plus with this, I think a lot of your data is probably around your own territories or around the people you work with, but that's going to open up with that internationalization brick, and that's going to open up even more of the system. So step by step, we'll be talking more languages, we'll be talking more systems, and I can just show you quickly, because maybe as you are technical, I can show you real URLs. Okay, let me show you some real URLs here. So here, for example,
donc j'ai la conversion d'une requête OSM.
okay. Damien's got an OSM conversion that comes from OSM. So you see the API, the URL up there. It goes through the API. It goes through the conversion library, and it says it's going to convert a source that's called OSM, and it gives it a URL to a request. So a Sparkle request on the Overpass API that comes from OpenStreetMaps. And here, this is just the data extracted through the process. But if we just change the format, on peut faire un point d'interrogation format égale schema. Non, pas comme ça. Ça marche pas. C'est et format.
Je pense pas. Mais
vas-y. There you go. And you see now this, the same data is extracted under the schema.org structure. And we can just change those final formats, and it extracts in different formats. We can go into detail on that, but that's, it's what you want to, what you've understood is that we go from any source, convert it into a pivot language, and it can come out into any other language. So we didn't only go into our own language, we decided to keep it converting to any language. So if I share with you here a person, no. Here. So if I share screen, yeah. So here you have just a person. If you see my screen.
Not quite yet. Not quite yet.
Not yet. Format.
I can see it.
Okay. So if you notice, this is a person. Okay. If you just go get the person, minimum information out of this person, which is an entity, and you'll have its name. So this is Sarah J. Okay. Let's say I want to have this person decided to be open data. Of course, she freed her information. If I put format equals PLP, which is the portable linked profile, this corresponds to the PLP mapping system. If I just change here to schema, you'll see this is a JSON-LD format with the context schema. But she only decided to share her name. If I try and get my ID, it would be a lot more complete. I think Damien is trying to sort out URLs, but since he...
Pour la correction des données en PH, qu'on regarde, par exemple, c'est appelé tiens. En tout cas, j'ai le truc de la UMAP maintenant. Pour la UMAP, c'est un cas particulier.
Okay, so you see this UMAP here, which is an open format for anyone to extract. Okay. So when he takes his URL from the UMAP that's available on internet, and he just adds it freely. Attends, le URL. Hein.
Ici, cette URL-là, en fait.
Ouais.
Voilà, j'ai déjà fait en fait.
Okay, so now he just replaced it in his conversion tool.
Et donc, on a la conversion.
And he obtains those those 4 elements. Vas-y, réduis les 4 éléments pour montrer qu'il y en a 4 dedans. Là.
Ah, d'accord, on réduit ça.
So if you reduce, well, you know how it goes. But maybe they didn't all have data. But anyway, that's the idea, is that you can take any URL for it, any UMAP source or any OSM source, and it'll do the job for you, which is very practical across systems.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to have some questions for following up sometime. Tell me when you want them.
Whenever you want. I mean, that's the point of the point d'interrogation.
Yeah. Okay, so what I would like to have, so I'm on my phone here, so I can't see the chat, but maybe we can do it here or someplace. But for following up, I would like to get a link or a set of links where I can start studying what you're doing here, some of the things that you showed, maybe some of your presentations, links to source, examples, demos, whatever. And that I want to send you some links to some things from the vocabulator that you might want to look at and see if you can do something with. And then I would like to figure out where should we, I think there's possibilities here for a bunch of ongoing collaboration. And so I would like to know where you would prefer to discuss collaborating around this stuff. Okay. I don't care. You name it, I'll be there. So that stuff you could put in the chat, or you could put in a follow-up email. If you put it in the chat, Lynn can get it, I can't. But she can give it to me, so it's just like I want to follow up on this. And so the more information I can get to help me start studying it will be the most useful, and I will seriously do the homework.
There's one actually fairly simple translation vocabulary that we use inside the system. We have so what you can do actually, but it has to be installed to start converting. We haven't really made an intuitive It's real code. It's real code. That's made available. Let me try and get it for you here. Conversion. It's in the models. Well, here you go. Let me stop this. Okay. Okay. If you go here, Lynn, I don't think, Bob, you'll see it if you're on your phone. But what you'll find in this are all the models that we use. The CTK is the Citizen Toolkit, is everything that runs behind. It's like the back end of Communactive. And if you go... Yeah. So if you go from... If you go to from translate...
I'll let him finish, okay?
If you go from... I'll just try and screenshot that. Oops, this is where we are. I don't know if screenshots go into this. No, it doesn't. But if you go from translate, if you're on that URL, if you go from translate to translate schema, all those translation processes are all the ones that we've already made. Meaning that if tomorrow we want to make a translation, and if you take, for example, RSS, you can read it out, and if you know a bit of the output structure of an RSS, you'll recognize a lot of things. It's very simple, the translation language. If you take GeoJSON, which I'm sure you will recognize the mapping system, which binds here. If you see, can you open the trend? Let me share with you the translate GeoJSON. Let me, instead of talking like this.
Yeah, because I can see it, but if you could share your screen and just show what you're talking about, that would be better for the recording.
Yeah, exactly. You see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Just before, Damien showed you this. If you look at Damien's screen right now, you'll see he's on /API news, and he's getting the GeoJSON format, okay? But first, he's going to remove the format. Just leave it on just blunt what comes out of the database. This is all the open data news feed, okay? So this is just a pure news feed coming out of the database. And what he's going to do now, he's going to translate it into GeoJSON format. Okay, well, right. So this, whatever feed has lat longs can be converted to GeoJSON features. Okay, so this translation, if you look on my screen now, il n'y a pas le titre là. If he does the same thing with organizations, it might be more. Yeah. You see, this is in a GeoJSON format for all organizations in our system. So when he does that, he is simply going through this mapping feature. You see, that's all you have to learn. It's 20 lines of code. Of course, you will have to learn the internal pivot language, but that's already been shared on Building Commons. And so he takes the pivot language and applies these rules to it, meaning that he will have an export properties, email, name, username, images, etc. with these fields. It's extremely simple. Yeah.
Okay, question. Now, when you're talking pivot, you're talking about your internal vocabulary that you translate everything through, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we're really
Yes.
interested in learning that as well, seeing how that works.
That's
now,
available. That's all available here. It's actually very close to schema.org. We only upgraded whatever we didn't find in schema.org.
mhm.
We added the fields that we didn't find. So if you
Okay.
go on the building commons, which you've already been on a few years ago,
Mhm.
and you will find, yeah, here. Sorry, let me give you this folder better. This folder here. And you will find, let me show you the screen. Again, I'm not sure if I'm sharing the right screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Building Commons, Pixel,
Yeah.
Humane, Building Commons, yes.
Yeah, and so our ontology, which is the ontology, we should call it PH actually, but it's here we put it under community.
Mhm.
You have all our main, it's like sample data. And so here is a user. This is a person that's described in this map. Actually, it's me, I think. Let me see the name. Yeah, it's my email and my position. And this is a sort of map you will have as a pivot language. So you'll have the social networks of the person, a few features like a URL, a type, citizen. This is like a pivot. This is the pivot language because it's our language.
Okay.
But it's based on schema.org. I should clean it up a bit because if I take an organization, it'll be much simpler. You see here, this is like an organization called new org. It's of type NGO. It has an admin. It has an address and field. It has a geolocation position. Has a few tags, a short description, etc., etc.
So Tibor,
And
question about that. Is this related to the virtual assembly virtual vocabulary or not?
No.
Okay.
No, this is something we've based on just the practice of building community.
Yep.
And the Assemblée virtuelle never really went towards that format.
Okay.
So they have their own.
Okay.
They have what they call pair format, which is a bit more restrictive concerning the types. But I don't know exactly where they've gone with that. I've lost a bit contact with their development, just like we've lost contact when we were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk to them next week too.
Okay.
So Tibor.
Yeah.
Is it easy to add to your internal pivot language? You kind of do that as you find new elements, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For example, we are now today, like this week, we've finished modeling places, like third places, you know, like Fab Labs or co-working spaces or all these third places. And it was a matter of, the database model is very free. As it's a NoSQL database, we can add, remove, all this is very flexible.
One other question, are you familiar with I think it's Open Food Data Group?
I've talked to the French person behind the Open Food Network in France, which Miriam.
Yeah, Miriam. Yeah,
Miriam. Yeah, which is great person and everything, but And back then, this was already a year or a year and a half ago, but I couldn't. It was too complicated to open a node here in Reunion. So we've actually opened. We have a shop without any packaging. I don't know how you call that. No packaging shop for food.
Yeah.
And we connect producers and all those people with the shop.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
but and we've thought about it, but we're still in that process. We're really interested in everything that's around these ways of doing things in collaboration, and so the Open Food Network was really very interesting.
Well, they're doing something that's what they're calling, I think it's open food data, and there's a bunch of food organizations in Europe that have committed to using this, and they are also talking about a pivot language.
Okay.
And so I was wondering if they had talked to you, because you're using the same terminology, and I'll bet you it's the same idea. They don't have one yet, but they're talking about one. So we got to get you and Miriam together here.
Sure. We've already talked, but maybe we talked quite a while ago.
Yeah. And well, she's off. Yeah, she's offline on a farm for a month, so it'll be next month.
The problem is that, and that's when we talk about ecosystems again.
Yeah.
Is that, for example, you're going to be talking to Assemblée Virtuelle, but they've rebuilt and they're rebuilding everything that we've already done. That's not a problem for us, because it'll make, I guess, science more smarter in a way. But I think there's a lot of energy lost when building for for a different cause that is not the commons. I think that saying, we'll just do it again, well, that's not building for commons.
Well, it's, I keep saying we're all building the same system, we should actually get together on it.
Yeah, exactly. At one point, if we don't say, okay, well, let's get together and do it, then we'll just keep on building our own things here and there. And I think it's a bit sad. I really believe that at one point we have to choose. I'm not into centralization at all, and that's why we built what we've built. And it's really to try and show that this system can read any language and can extract any language. So I mean that anything we have, we can give you back in your own language. You don't have to learn Chinese. This system will give you the Chinese back to you in English. But it also can read Chinese and bring it. Yeah, you understand what I mean.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And like I say, it's a missing piece. I know Miriam is looking for something like this, and what was the thing in that crazy book, the Babelfish? Remember the Babelfish?
Yeah.
It's the Babelfish.
Yeah. It's the Babelfish. Well, I don't know if it's the Babelfish, but what Damien, it was just an idea, and we profited from his internship to kind of push him into going into these directions. And he really showed us that it's not so complicated, because in the end,
congratulations, Daniel.
Damien, yeah.
Daniel, hey.
Yeah, he managed, and now the objective is to try and keep him going on this, because there's something. Okay, now we can show you the cream of the cream, the little cherry on the cake.
Okay,
the cherry on the cake. Okay, so everyone knows Wikipedia, okay?
Yep.
Okay. The problem when you read Wikipedia, first I have to come back to the basics of communauté, which are, and actually it's the basics of any of our systems. As you're saying, we're building the same system. It's people, organizations, projects, events, okay? And what we did in a real use case with Damien, it's called COPI. Because Wikipedia, you can read Wikipedia freely and not really, you're gonna gather a lot of information in your head, but it's not gonna stick because it's a linear reading system. And you're reading, what you're gonna read? You're gonna read stories, and in the stories, you're gonna read people, projects, organizations, events. And I'm sure you already know where I'm going. And what we've done with the interoperability feature is that we scan any endpoint page in Wikipedia, and we extract the links that are in the page, and we check the semantic meaning of the link, and we check if they're an event, an organization, or a person, which allows us to save the reading process of a Wikipedia page in a new format, which means that if you read out the whole history of anarchism or of permaculture, instead of memorizing the whole history and all the people and all the dates and if you go into, I don't know, the innovation process or something that's very long term, well, you're never gonna remember, and even at the end, it's gonna be very complicated. So what we've done, we've taken this interoperability process, integrated it into a learning process with Wikipedia, and now we take any URL here. Which URL did you take as a? He took the page of the city of St. Louis in Reunion, which is called St. Louis, where we live. And so what he's saying at the top part, vas-y, remonte. At the top part, it says there's 6 events, 5 organizations, 12 locations, 11 people, 3 unknown, and 5 undefined links in this page of Saint Louis. And if you run down, then you can not only see these elements that are available in the Wikipedia page as people, as events, you can see them in time when they've arrived in your reading of Wikipedia, but you can also switch to the map end. Or not yet. Wait, I don't remember. No. Not necessarily, but okay. Anyway, the idea of this is to restructure the way we read Wikipédia. And il n'y avait pas l'histoire, l'URL en fait derrière.
Si, quand tu cliques par exemple sur un bouton.
And then you can go in depth. So if you click one of the links, you will continue reading. Who is this person? And you can deep dive. We still have to work on the process. But what you're understanding here is that we converted the wiki data and the Wikipedia data into our own. The data comes from them, but we interpreted it into a new reading tool. So, et celui-là, tu as un bouton pour aller l'analyser, par exemple? Hein?
Question, what do you mean by event? It's a really overloaded word.
An event is a date. Let's say the World War II event is start and finish.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you have an event is the municipal elections. That's an event.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, anything. Let's say if we're on the volcano page, you'll have all the events of the eruptions, or any Wikipedia data source. And actually, someone said something very smart. Why do it only for Wikipedia? Well, the idea is that on any website, you can extract the URLs, but you have to define that this is a person, this is an organization, this is an event. In Wikipedia, that's automatically made by the semantic web, by the qualification that is behind the page.
Okay.
Yeah, you need the semantics. You can't just scrape screens.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what we've done is that right now, this is like the 001 version, but it's already working.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that in the page where he is clicking right now, if you come back, you can select all the Wikipedia elements. Non, là. Pour les changer, les types.
Bah, il faut trouver quelque chose qui n'a pas de type.
Non, t'en as plein des undefined. No. Okay, so you see that button, add a type to this Wikipedia? These are the unknown types.
Mm-hmm.
So someone who's coming to read this system, he can contribute to this new way of reading Wikipedia. And he can say, okay, chemin de fer, that's a location. So he just clicks the add a type. And he says, this is the location. Let's say that's in French. He validates. You know where that data goes? It doesn't go in our house. It goes to Wikidata. We are pushing now. We are upgrading Wikidata database with what we need in our knowledge base. So you see here, he's going to show you what he's updated in the Wikidata database to say that that element that he has selected, and right now he only takes the links that are in the page, but in the future we'll be able to highlight something in the text and give it a type. While you read it out, this article, maybe there's something interesting in the article, you'll be able to pull it out of that context and say, okay, that's a date, that's an event, or that's a person, that's an organization. And that's really going to become something that will make I think it's something that will make our reading more contextualized, because we'll gather, if you're in a Wikipedia reading process, you won't have to remember all the people you've read, because they'll accumulate in this map that's up there. Did I lose you?
We're here.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
So that's
cool.
Yeah, we're just thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's a very precise use case, but it's made for one of our best tools, which is Wikipedia, that we really want to make evolve. And actually, we're in discussion with the Wikipedia gang in the French Wikipedia gang.
Mm-hmm.
They say it's never going to go through the community. They say it's impossible because the community is too strict, and giving them a new tool takes ages. So what we're going to go further in this prototyping and see how they react. You know, it's more a new contribution tool, a new contribution part to Wikipedia.
Yeah, but connecting can do it. You know, even if they do want to do it internally, connecting is it's open for connecting. So can you know, and they can be part of that or not.
Yeah, treat it as a network, and don't worry.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think that's already a lot.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's great. Okay, so where would you like to communicate about this potential collaboration going forward? You don't have to answer right now, but at some point, yeah, I'd like to.
What we have to define, it's very simple actually. When we took URLs that were very. Okay, I have to present one last thing because I think this is what's really going to interest you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's share. Okay. So we were invited to a seminar where the hackathon was about resilience. Resilience means that if internet falls tomorrow, what's going to happen to a centralized network like Community?
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes us think about how our different systems interoperate. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the first answer is to install Community on a Raspberry Pi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So it's independent from the network. Okay?
Yep.
The idea is that you have network. Let me get it. It's coming. That's it. What happens, you will not have any more. The reason that we are able to read from any instance, right now you've seen the more complicated system, which is Community is reading Wikipedia, which is a total different system. But the other interesting part about this technology is that we can read our own instances. That means
Mm-hmm.
that if someone starts building a separate instance of Community, their own instance, we can interconnect them together.
Excellent.
Meaning that we are really in a distributed model.
Yep.
So these microprocessors, which are the Raspis, they can build this network. It's like a mesh network. So it could be, if they're close together, so you only stay within a Wi-Fi distance or a Bluetooth distance to communicate. Or you can go through the internet to connect to Raspis that give you access to their own API. And these server clients interconnect between them, which
Mm-hmm.
builds like a network. Like it's an intranet. It can be like visualized like a big database.
Uh-huh.
And if there's another node that connects to the database gets bigger just in one connection. It's exactly like when you had eMule or how was it, Napster.
Mm-hmm.
When a new hard drive connected, you get the whole content of the hard drive. It disconnects, it goes off. But you can also go for resilience and connect that to a bank, like a COPI bank. And
So
you can, yeah.
If we had one of these devices now, could we connect?
Yes. If your device, with the process, with what I've showed you,
Mm-hmm.
this is like the next exercise that Damien's going to work on. We're going to try and find some budget for that. But the next exercise we're going to give him is to interconnect. And actually, it's much simpler to do than what he's already done the harder part.
Okay.
Interconnecting two
this is not quite. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is not quite working yet.
No.
Okay. Have you looked at?
No.
Okay. Have you looked at what they're doing with secure scuttlebutt?
No.
Okay. When we figure out how we're communicating, I'll send you a link.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll find it that way.
How about if we communicate in the Lumio Open Apps Ecosystem group and just start threads as needed?
Yeah, you're finding the right stuff there.
Okay, on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's our language.
Yeah, that runs on mesh networks and Wi-Fi and also the internet.
Magnificent. Well,
Working
you see,
now. Yeah.
that works. Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
And what does this run on?
Anything. Right?
Yeah. Well, right now it's being used for a type of social network. One of the guys that is working with us, Ivan, who you saw in the okay, now he wants to set up a mutual credit network on what they call is the Scuttleverse, because it's like it's a gossip network, which is a protocol that's been out there for a while, but nobody's done much with. And so he's doing some things with a mutual credit network on top of SSB, and there's some other experiments going on. This is at a stage where it's like you sort of have to be a techno crypto geek to get it, you know. But it's a very collaborative community. They work very well together. They coordinate. It's like the best thing I've seen for coordinated group, remote, distributed software development. The other thing they've done is they've done their own knockoff of GitHub on Scuttlebutt.
Okay.
So they have a radically decentralized software development environment.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, no, it's like
okay. That sounds
like it's a bunch of wizards, you know. They're so far beyond my technical skills that I can't quite imagine. But
where's the entry point?
Well, there should be in that stuff that you're looking at in their handbook. There should be a way to get connected. If not, if you can't find it, I will send you one. I'll get you an introduction to somebody who's can walk you through it.
Oh,
or
I'm sure
Yvonne can. Yeah, Yvonne can do it too.
Very well documented, but
yeah.
Maybe it's more of a let's talk about ecosystems and how can we get connected, or do we just have to take it out and test it on our side?
No. What happens is, like, everybody has their own node, and in order to get together, people set up what they call pubs, which is like a British pub, metaphorically. Yeah. And so then you connect to their pub. So you need an invitation to a pub to really get connected. And my computer it has a problem, and I can't get back on the Scuttleverse right now. But Yvonne is there.
Okay. So you're not allowed to drink any more Guinness, right?
Beg pardon?
You can't drink any more Guinness.
Now they took Bob
no,
off.
I know. Yeah. No, they didn't take me off. My computer took me off. I have to fix it.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh. You were too present. You were drinking out all the stocks.
Yeah, I know. So, but anyway, Yvonne is still there, and I know all the people who are all running all the pubs. So we can get you on, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love maybe a quick presentation so we gain time. If maybe Yvonne can run something like that, I'd be really interested. This really looks great.
Yeah,
I would like that
can.
too. We'll see if we can get him to do that, because I keep meaning to join, but it's like not enough time to get that deep enough. So the presentation would be great, just like what you did here.
Yeah, it's not at the stage of user friendly, No,
I'm fine with not user friendly. Actually, sometimes I myself don't become user friendly.
Yeah. It's once you get on, then it is. Once you get on, it's very easy. It's getting all connected is a little bit hairy.
Okay. Well, no, I think because we've made a lot of effort. We can do another call, and I'll present to you how Community works, what's behind it. We've made a lot of progress since what you used to know as Human Pixel, and we've gone a long way. And what you've seen here, it's just in one objective, which is interoperability and translators. Yeah. But I think I really have to. Actually, it's something I've proposed in one of the calls and one of the talks, is that every one of our projects should take a bit of time to present his organization, his projects, and what's going on. Like some kind of scrum.
Yeah, that'd be great, and I would attend. So one of the things now, when I talk about this with Lynn, I very naively say communector, and you say communique. Is that right?
No, I actually we made a mistake in the name, and it's a French verb, and we say communiquer. And I'm conscious that it's not very easy to say in English. So in English we just say communect. You can call it communect. We have to try and find something, or you can just call it co. Co is the little word we use, and the new version is called CO2. You can call it CO.
Okay, that's funny. Okay, so I mean, I'll call it anything you want. I'm an old man. I'm language deficient. But what can we do? But I try.
That's fine. I mean, you can call it communector. You can,
No, I won't. No, I'll stop using that.
No, that's. I mean, that's not. We know we have to change the name if we wanted to make it.
Nah, we don't care. Okay.
I'm gonna stop the recording right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And well, thank you for everything.
Yeah.